I got the confidence to pursue design because of Rihanna stylist Mariel and Jonas Bavacqua of a clothing brand, LRG, taking notice of the ideas I created. They had an eye for talent and could trend forecast what was next. Fast forward a couple of years, they were right. I was lucky to work for will.i.am, the Black Eyed Peas, and Kanye West, developing their collections. And I had my ideas worn by Shay Mitchell, N.E.R.D, Kevin Hart, Kendrick Lamar, Chris Brown, Kid Cudi, Neo, and it all started with Kevion and Jonas. Kevin and Jonas were best friends, and they taught me about mindset and manifestation. No one's even talked to me about manifestation or mindset. I wanted to be successful like them. They had the $1 million houses, they had the Mercedes, they had the Lamborghinis, they had the girls. I admired how they found a way to be successful at business and figuring out how to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. They recommended me reading all these books like Breaking the Habits of Being Yourself, Think and Grow Rich, and Ask and It Is Given. At the time in my 20s, I'm 39 now, I thought that was success and happiness, but that's a whole nother video on happiness and fulfillment. And I went on a rabbit hole and I studied the psychology and science of happiness, and I read books like The How of Happiness, and I took Laurie Santos's class, The Psychology of the Good Life. It was one of the most taken class in Yale's history. I would hear stories of Jim Carrey when he was broke and he had no money. He would go drive to the top of Mulholland Drive and ask the universe he would say he was going to be the biggest actor in Hollywood. And then there's a clip where he was on Oprah and he wrote himself a $10 million check when he had no money. 5 years later, he made the movie The Mask and other movies, and then he made $10 million. So when Kevion started coaching me, they would ask me to write. To manifest what you want in your life, you would have to write things you're grateful for. So if you want money, I would write, I'm grateful to make $1 million, as if you already had the $1 million. And on a side note, if you're spending $3,333 a month in expenses per month, you need $1 million for retirement. And I learned this from studying the FIRE community, the Financial Independence Retire Early community. So basically you multiply your yearly expenses times 25, which is $1 million. And then you can take out 4% per year, which is $40,000 a year, which is $3,333 a month for the rest of your life, and never run out of money if you're investing in the stock market. Or if you want to manifest living in London, you would write, I'm grateful to be living in London with a stable income of $100,000 per year. Or if you're single and you want to be in a relationship, you can write, I'm grateful to have a smart, kind, beautiful wife. You have to be specific as you can. And you have to write it as if it's already happening. You have to feel and believe it's happening now, because your mind doesn't know what's real or not. When you write down your goals and then you think about it consistently, constantly, and you have a vision board, it's more likely, the research and science says it's more likely to come true. So when Olympic athletes who visualize winning the race, they tend to win the race. But it's not just about visualizing, you also have to do the work and train and put in the action. But my interest during that time was art. As a kid, I would draw cartoons all the time. I would be into architecture and making paper buildings. I remember one day I asked the universe to give me a career where I can just work with my hands. And I guess I just ended up being in fashion. And I remember I would go to the thrift store and deconstruct garments and put it back together. And then my mom would tell me the quality was bad and that I needed to learn how to make clothes properly. So then she said, take a intro to sewing class at the community college. So then I took the class, and then I met Jackie. She was the instructor. I just worked super hard in the class and just did everything she said. And I just told her I wanted to start a clothing line, and would she teach me? And then she would help me outside of class, on Saturdays and Sundays. And she would teach me how to make jackets, pants, just whatever I wanted. She had a background working in industry and streetwear, working for brands like Mecca, Alphanumeric, and helping manufacturing the clothing. And I just think about how the universe made that happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen, how start a clothing line. It's like the universe made it happen when my mom suggested I take the class, and then I meet my mentor who knew everything about fashion, and then now she taught me everything about creating a clothing line. So that kind of solved the how. It's not about acting and faking it till you make it. You actually have to become it, like become a designer. Or if you want to become an athlete, you have to become an athlete and be an athlete and live like an athlete. Like for me, I had to live as if I was a designer, even though I wasn't a designer. I didn't go to design school or have formal training, but I just had to be it. Like for me, I used to design 24/7, and I'd spend all my money on buying fabric and kept creating ideas. Like I stopped going to a movie theater for like 5 years, and that money I would spend going to a movie theater, I would just keep putting it back into making clothing. Like I was obsessed and created 24/7. I would spend all my money to keep creating ideas even though I couldn't pay for rent. People thought I was crazy, but you have to have tunnel vision and keep moving forward. And then I remember girls who used to say I was too ambitious, and then when they would see Chris Brown wearing it in a music video, they told me they knew I could do it. Manifesting happens when you get out your comfort zone and into the unknown. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. So when you think things are obstacles, it's really experiences taking you to the next level of your journey. Even though it's hard to see at that time that that experience is helping you. But the universe wants to give you what you desire. So when a kid falls off his bike, he doesn't know if it's a mistake or failure. He just gets back on his bike and keeps riding. It's not till you're an adult the world tells you falling off a bike is failure. Because when you're a kid, you don't know these ideas. It's all made up. It's all made up ideas. I remember I wasn't making a living designing clothing, so I worked at a car company editing photos while still trying to pursue design. Then after a couple months, I got a call for an opportunity to work on will.i.am of the Black Eyed Peas, his clothing collection. And then I remember another time I was living with my ex-girlfriend's family because I didn't have work, but I still kept believing and kept making garments and creating ideas. And then I got a call, and then Kendrick Lamar wore my design. And at that time, I felt like I was a failure. Like I didn't expect to be staying with my girlfriend's family. That's not what I envisioned in my life as a designer. You can't have expectation of the outcome. Like you have to be open to the universe, however way it's gonna unfold. Like you have to be open that it's not gonna happen the way you want it to happen. You have to let go of all expectations. And the crazy example of this is the first person I wanted to ever work with was Kanye West, but that didn't happen. And I would write that I would be working for Kanye West. So I just let go. And then 10 years later, I got an email to work for Kanye West. You have to be open and know that the universe is working to help you get what you desire. But I still think that all this stuff wasn't even supposed to happen. It still feels like a dream. Like you never see a minority, an immigrant, a Filipino person like me accomplish that kind of dream because I rarely see people that look like me. I mean, there's only a few Filipinos in the entertainment industry. And then I think about my background, coming from a single parent mom, and my dad died when I was young, and she was a nurse, and she took care of my brother and I, and my grandparents. And I just think like there was no way it could happen. And I still feel like it was a dream. And I still can't believe I've got to experience that.